Hi everyone, my name is Hutcherson, but you know me as the Hungry Hutch. All right, folks, we're getting a little fancy right now. We're gonna make us some seared pork chops with a red wine grape sauce. Now you may be thinking, red wine grape sauce, what the hell is that? It's a thing that we're gonna make, and I'm gonna show you how. Because this is a little bit fancier than your standard dish, you might want to make this if you're having a nice little dinner party or to impress some girl or guy you have your eye on. When you go to the grocery store, you can sort of see a wide variety of pork chops. For this dish, I chose the bone-in pork chop because any meat that has the bone still attached to it will tend to stay a little bit juicier. Now, for this instance, I'm using a nice heavy cast iron skillet. It's providing a nice, great sear and crust to any sort of meat because you can get it really, really hot and it'll hold the heat very well. Drizzle it with a little olive oil and wait for it to get nice and warm and hot. While the skillet is heating up, we're gonna take our pork, pat it off with a paper towel to dry it off a little bit, because sort of once you add it to the pan, if there's that moisture there, that'll sort of prevent it from getting a nice golden brown crust. Dry it off first. Season it very simply with just salt and pepper, and then once the skillet is hot, put it in the pan. Don't touch it. That's the most important thing. A lot of people put it in the pan and then move it around all willy-nilly. Put it in the pan, don't touch it for about 5-ish minutes. I mean, every once in a while you can take a little peek and see how it's coming along, but you want it to get a nice golden brown color before you flip it over. Now, this next step is where you get all the goodness. We're going to baste the pork chops. So we're gonna throw in just a couple of crushed garlic cloves. Just peel them, crush them, throw them in the pan. Some herbs, you can use sort of whatever herbs you like. This time I'm adding some rosemary and some thyme. And we're gonna add in a couple of tablespoons of butter. And then as the butter melts, it'll sort of pick up some of the flavors from the garlic and the herbs and all the other stuff that's happening in the pan. And then we're just gonna take a spoon, pour the butter over the pork. It helps to tilt it a little bit so that you can sort of get the butter as it melts and drips off. It also helps to sort of give an angle for the juices and everything to slide off the pork as you're basting it. The pork will be sort of mostly cooked at this point, but we're gonna take it out of the pan, take out the herbs and the garlic, and now we're gonna move on to the grapes. So we have the grapes, we sliced them in half, and we are going to add them to the skillet. And just let them cook down. And as they cook, they'll start to break down a little bit, release some of their juices, add some flavor, pick up some of the brown bits that are on the bottom of the pan. It'll be delicious. So I'm gonna let the grapes do their own thing for maybe about 2 to 3 minutes. Just let them break down and sort of hang out by themselves a little bit before the rest of the ingredients join the party. Now we're gonna add in a cup of unsalted chicken stock and about a half of a cup to a cup of red wine. I like to cook a lot with some of the leftover wine I have in my apartment. Let's say one night I get home from work and I open up a bottle of wine and drink 3/4 of it by myself. Then I was like, oh, what am I gonna do with this wine the next day? Cook with it. I never buy cooking wine. I don't really know why you would. There's a reason why you don't want to drink cooking wine, because it doesn't taste good. And if it doesn't taste as good, then why would you want to cook with it to begin with? The more you know, and shooting star. So there's the grapes and the wine and the stock, and they're all in the pan having a good time doing their thing. We're just gonna let that cook and let it simmer until it's reduced by about half. It'll thicken up a little bit, the grapes will continue to break down a little bit, and then we're going to finish cooking the pork chops. So we're gonna take the pork chops, we can discard the herbs and the garlic, and place the chops back in the pan, and then if there's any juices that have sort of seeped out as the pork chops were sitting there, just be sure to pour those into the pan as well. There's no reason to get rid of all that flavor and goodness. Let those cook for about 3 to 5 minutes at a low simmer. You never want to boil meat because then it gets tough and chewy and that's not good. Once your pork is done, then you're just gonna take the chops out, move that to a plate, and then sort of while the sauce is still there by itself, just sort of season it a little bit just to make sure it's like good on its own. You can cook it and reduce it down a little bit more if you want it to be sort of a thicker sauce. You do you, boo. It's your kitchen. Do what you want. Take your sauce, spoon it over top the pork chops, and good to go. And then if there's any of that wine left over, pour yourself a glass, you know. Thanks for watching. For more recipes and delicious food porn and inspiration, feel free to go to thehungryhutch.com. Follow me on the Facebooks and the Instagrams and the Twitters at The Hungry Hutch. And of course, be sure to check out Blavity.com. Like them on Facebook, follow them on Twitter and on Instagram at Blavity, and subscribe on YouTube.
You have a catchphrase or something?
Stay hungry. I don't know.
It might be in that.